Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 30. Matt, we have reached the milestone of 30 here on Matt and John Make a Podcast. Round of applause.
I never knew 30 was a milestone, but
hey, I'm making it a milestone. And
fair enough.
For this week, it's going to be a little bit different here on the podcast.
You may not know,
but we're going to be shooting from the hip a little bit.
Bang, bang.
Typically, when Matt and I start the podcast, we typically have a agenda of things.
Yes.
And whether it be sports, comic books stuff, wrestling, MMA, whatever, we typically lay it all up. But we figured that we should try for this week and just having a post sort of calm conversation a little bit. We'll see how that comes off, but I mean, like, the first thing that we kind of wanted to touch on, and when I got a text from Matt late yesterday, he said, "Oh, I'm going to rage hard on the podcast tomorrow," and zero context that was said, but I knew exactly what he was talking about, and that, of course, was the burial of one Bray Wyatt, aka The Fiend. Matt, I'll give you the floor first, since this probably really pissed you off here.
Okay.
So, rage.
Okay. So, for those who are wrestling fans, you know that the Super Showdown pay-per-view over in Saudi Arabia happened this past Thursday. And one of the matches, I didn't get to see it because I was working. If I wasn't working, I would have watched it.
Same here.
One of the matches, like I was saying, was Goldberg versus The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, who is the Universal Champion over on SmackDown. I don't know why I said it like that, but okay, let's move on. So, this would have been a great way to have Bray Wyatt, if you beat Goldberg, right? Which Goldberg has been beaten since coming back.
Yes.
So there's no streak, what have you, to protect, right? If he would have been undefeated so far in this new WWE run, I would have been more concerned, right? But it hasn't, so I went on my business thinking, okay, Fiend's going to go over strong here. What a way. Pushed him WrestleMania. So I really didn't check my phone all day Thursday. I kind of saw some results, but like Miz and Morrison winning the tag team championships, like, hey, that's good. It's not the New Day or whoever, so that's good. I'm not surprised. Good for them. The Undertaker got in a gauntlet match. I was like, okay, we knew he was going to be there. Fine with that. What else happened? Mansoor won beat Dolph Ziggler. Shock, the one time a year. Mansoor comes out of
Twice a year.
Twice a year.
Since they run two events.
To win.
Yeah.
He's like undefeated because, of course, they don't want to be stuck over in Saudi Arabia on a plane if Mansoor lost.
Yeah, that would be bad.
I doubt that will happen, but joke.
That would be bad.
I forget what else happened. So when I saw I forget how I saw it, a picture or a tweet that Goldberg beat Bray Wyatt
in 3 minutes and 54 seconds.
I didn't even know the time. I knew it was somewhat quick, but I didn't know the time. What the?
Yeah. So I think
how? No.
Okay,
I was trying to lead this in.
Okay, go ahead.
Why would you have if Seth freaking Rollins can't beat him can beat him basically inhuman.
How many curb
uh,
stomps did he
chair
take?
shots? What have you in a Hell in a Cell, which somehow ended with no contest? That is the least egregious thing that they did with this. Goldberg can beat him with a couple spears and a jackhammer.
3 spears and 1 jackhammer, or 4 spears and 1 jackhammer. It was one of the two. And,
Whatever the combination.
And that jackhammer pretty much looked like a suplex there, which was even funnier.
I don't care how. It's like addition. You can add any which way. It still sucks.
Yes.
How?
It's
Okay. So then where's Bray go from here? Eventually, yeah, he can go back and win it. That's great. But
he's buried. He's buried. I mean, if you believe what the Observer says, this is going to lead right into Cena. But I mean, like that.
Okay. If it goes into Cena, okay, fantastic. But why?
Just
If the title was on the line, right? You had Bray Wyatt versus Cena. There's a chance that you may think, well, it's Cena. It's Bray. Guess what happened last time that happened? Cena could win. But if Bray Wyatt goes over, you make him until you have somebody ready to beat Bray. Whoever that could be. What have you? Braun, maybe? It's maybe the most believable person you can kind of get to. He's on SmackDown, right? Yeah.
Who I'm struggling.
Yeah.
Yep. He's on SmackDown.
He's the most believable person. If Braun, let's say if Braun Strowman, if they build it up right, Braun Strowman beats Bray Wyatt, I can believe it. Out of everybody on that show, would that be the least objectable person to face him?
Yep. I could buy that.
But you have Goldberg win. So he's going to go into WrestleMania
As a champion.
99.9% sure.
More than likely against Roman Reigns, too, on top of that. Which does not excite anyone. And honestly, when I first heard this, I knew once I heard about this that Matt would be extremely pissed. And yes,
I normally don't get this bad.
Yes, but even I knew at that point, I was like, he's not gonna like this. But I've grown just so immune to WWE's booking. Like, maybe it's just because I don't watch the TV every single week. I'm not emotionally invested. But this just speaks to their same problems that they deal with every single year. And it's their over-reliance on the part-timers. And even The Undertaker beating AJ Styles with a chokeslam. He didn't even get a tombstone. Chokeslam done. That's it. Like, at some point, this company needs to start to create some new stars. And for as much time as they devoted to this Bray Wyatt character, how much money that they put into this character, for them to just completely bury him in one night after an 8, 9, 10-month build with him, and now he's dead. And now, who's going to buy Cena beating him? And even if he does, it's not going to matter now. It's not going to matter now because the damage has already been done.
To save it, Bray needs to go over Cena.
Absolutely. I mean, like, which he will, but the problem is still going to be who's going to actually care about that match. And even if he wins, does it really matter? Like, that booking blunder is going to really hurt this company, because he was one of the guys that was, leaning into the right direction. But now, as we move on to WrestleMania right now, so now your two champions on both Raw and SmackDown are Brock Lesnar, who's the current WWE champion, and Goldberg, who is the WWE Universal Champion in 2020.
At least on Raw, you know where they're gonna go, right, and it's gonna make Drew.
Yeah.
You're making a star. You're making a new star.
Yeah.
With SmackDown, you have Goldberg, who is gonna put over Roman again, and he's gonna probably co-main event and win the championship again.
I absolutely believe this, though, that WWE made this call because they probably had a feeling that if they would have done Roman versus Bray, that Roman would have gotten booed out of the building. This is why they went with Goldberg versus Roman. There's just one problem with that.
You multiplied it by 2.
Exactly. And like, I'm following along on Twitter right now. It's Friday night. It's 8:25 p.m. And I've seen multiple people on my timeline say that both of those guys got booed out of the building. So really, the only thing that this company accomplished was burying yet another potential top star. And now, this is just, it's pissing off your fan base even more. And as I look at this WrestleMania card now, like, outside of Brock versus Drew, Shayna versus Becky, which we assume that Shayna is going to win the Elimination Chamber.
I think it's still solid minus the SmackDown, the top SmackDown matches.
I don't want to say that it's bad. It's just, it's not very exciting for me, especially when it compared to, say, AEW's pay-per-view this weekend. The build that we got with that, and we'll get into that shortly. It's just, I feel very underwhelmed right now. And this, this was just killer. But like, and with these Saudi shows, like they already have a pretty big stigma about them. And like, people are not going to really receive these shows really well to begin with. And now, like Matt, I believe that Goldberg was the number one trend, and it was like 10 o'clock at night last night.
I believe it.
It's just like this was similar to that debacle at Hell in a Cell. This was similar to when Batista won the 2014 Royal Rumble. Like, this was bad. Man, like, it's just seeing the reactions and the podcasters who I typically watch from Jason Solomonster to good mic work. Some guys who are extremely positive, who don't typically sway to the extreme negative side. Everybody hated this. There is no way to spin this to be a good thing. Now, I understand why the WWE did that, because especially if they plan on airing WrestleMania, say, on ESPN Plus, they want to get as many eyeballs on this thing as possible. They want to get as many mainstream eyes on this as possible. Fine. But
shrewd business decision.
But it's like you said, man, it's a very shrewd business decision, and one that could have some major consequences. And I'm going to segue this a little bit to AEW here, but you gotta wonder how mad that the fans are now. Will this prove to benefit AEW in getting more fans to watch their pay-per-view tomorrow? And more importantly, Dynamite going forward. And for the pay-per-view itself, well, before we start that, Matt, did you catch any of Dynamite this past week?
Nope.
So
didn't really catch anything.
Yeah. Definitely go out of your way to see Kenny versus Pac. Arguably the best match of the freaking year. Just, this was the closest thing that we have seen Kenny Omega to his New Japan match. Just like, just the match quality of this Kenny Omega that that we have seen. This was just tremendous. These guys just beat the living shit out of each other for over 30 minutes. This did end in a time limit draw. With each guy having one pinfall apiece, and I loved what Pac did to get his time pinfall to get his time pinfall against Kenny. So Matt, what happened here was basically Pac was just getting so frustrated that Kenny just kept on kicking out of everything, like he essentially threw him everything but the kitchen sink. And so Pac, being so pissed off, throws a steel chair at him and gets DQ'd. However, he keeps on beating him up with the chair, softens him up, and then when the ref restarts the match again, he gives him a Falcon Arrow, and then boom, it ties it. And I just loved that aspect of the storytelling there. That was great. But that was good. Also a really good interview with Hangman and Kenny and the Bucks. Definitely that interview made me want to see Hangman kick the Young Bucks' ass really badly. As much as I love the Bucks, their promo skills, they're not great. It was weird at times, but I will say that Hangman and Kenny did a really good job. Really sold that tag match for the pay-per-view tonight when this podcast drops. And lastly, Jericho versus Moxley. So there was a weigh-in there. Basically, we just saw them just pretty much weighing in. Jericho had a few things to say. I marked out a little bit when they had the old time WCW announcer announced the weigh-in. Gary Capeda. I hope that I'm pronouncing that correctly. If you're an old time WCW fan from the early 90s, one of his famous calls is saying, "This is Sting," and many other iconic calls with him announcing guys such as like Flair and Rick Rude and so on and so forth. So it was pretty cool to see him there. It was funny that with Chris Jericho really buried him and called him that the reason that WCW went under was because of him. Eventually this all ends into a brawl that sets things off really well for the pay-per-view. Also, Matt, they had an AEW countdown show. It's basically a 45-minute mini documentary for the pay-per-view. If you see that, it will pull you up to date on virtually everything that's happening on that card. But I want to get your thoughts on this card, Matt. What are your thoughts? Excitement level, so on and so forth.
Should be good. Hopefully. I mean, hopefully I don't do anything that's too crazy that not too what's the word I'm looking for? Indie-esque.
Well, I'll just kind of run through the card here and just get your general thoughts. So obviously I touched on the AEW Championship match between Chris Jericho versus Jon Moxley. Do you think that they put the title on Moxley, or do you think that they keep it on La Champion? And it should also be noted as well, I think that Fozzy has a tour in mid-April into May, so could that be a sign that they also put the
I think regardless, I think they of putting him on. I think you belt Dean up, not Dean, sorry, John,
Mm-hmm.
so much. I think you can. I think you have to. I don't know, have to make him win, but I think it's the best time.
Yeah, I'm not as confident in picking Moxley now, just because I thought that they would potentially have Pac win over Kenny to eventually set up that potential feud with Pac and John Moxley, and also they are tied 1 apiece with their previous matches. I felt that would have been something that they would build into, but since Kenny lost, or since Kenny beat Pac, makes that thing a little bit unpredictable. I am still picking Moxley just because I don't know where else that they could possibly go with Jericho outside of doing maybe another match with Kenny, which this would be their second match, because I believe their first match happened at Double or Nothing, if I remember correctly. But I also think that like they could be building up Kenny versus Hangman with that too. So it's a little bit unpredictable, but I am leaning towards John Moxley. And obviously, in my opinion, I think that this was the best built up feud that AEW has had, and it's definitely Cody versus MJF. Just the story for the last 3 months, from MJF announcing what his stipulations were, of that he had to not touch MJF, that he had to be Wardlow inside of a steel cage, and he had to take 10 lashings, which was a really excellent segment there. So yeah, Matt, first of all, thoughts on the build for Cody versus MJF, and who do you think wins, and or a better question should be, does it really matter who wins here?
Easily the best thing AEW puts on TV, consistently week in, week out.
Yep.
Best build, nothing wonky or weird or what have you.
It's very old school.
It's very old school, as it should be. It's Pro Wrestling 101 pretty much.
You know it's good when even Jim Cornette cannot hate it.
He doesn't hate stuff that's not wonky.
Nope.
That is pro wrestling.
Yep.
You got a heel, you got a face.
A clear cut face and heel.
Which is another big problem in wrestling today.
Yep.
But that's a topic for a different day. I think Cody gets the win.
Mm-hmm.
I think just the build, because then if he doesn't win, could you continue this?
I think so.
Yeah, but after weeks and weeks and months of Cody just getting, like, being down, overcoming the odds.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he's won against Wardlow and took the lashings.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you need the baby face gets his final triumph,
Mm-hmm.
and beats MJF and all that.
I'm actually going to go the other way. I think that they're going to go with MJF here, and I think that they're going to go by the story of that, like, that Cody foiled every obstacle that MJF threw in his way, and he overcame it. And I think basically that Cody is going to come with an inch of his life, and that MJF is just going to barely scrape by. And I definitely think that this is going to build to some sort of a gimmick match for Double or Nothing, or maybe they do an angle where Cody goes away for a little bit, and then they eventually pick that back up of some kind. But as you said, easily AEW's best built up feud, best written feud, or I mean, I shouldn't say that since they don't really script that, but this is probably the match that I am most looking forward to, and I wouldn't be even opposed if this even closed the show. That's how well that this thing has done, and I cannot wait. And this feud alone, if you look as to why that AEW consistently beats NXT week after week, this is one of the reasons why. Just the perfection that they have done in making this, like, larger than life to a certain degree. It can't miss, and I'm expecting that to continue for that show. And the other third, like, really hyped up match, I would say, Matt, is definitely Kenny and Hangman versus the Young Bucks. This dynamic is going to be very interesting, because up until, I would say, a month or two ago, I thought for sure that they were going to be building to eventually Adam Hangman Page to be turning heel. But I think, Matt, we need to start to ask that question. Maybe it should be Kenny who should be the one turning heel, because, man, as I look at Hangman, he's just too hot as a babyface right now, I feel, to turn him heel. And to be quite frank, I don't think that a heel run would really work for him, because I think he finally found something that has really worked, and that has been him becoming a freaking alcoholic. So what are your thoughts on this feud and this match, and ultimately who should win here?
I think, I don't know, because it's hard, because I haven't seen much in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I think Kenny and Hangman could win, unless one turns on the other somehow.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather see Omega turn heel, because he's really not done anything significant since AEW started.
Right.
He's kind of just been there.
And this would, I think, let him gain some more steam as they go into Double or Nothing as well.
If they do lose, I can see something that Hangman takes the pin. I could see him doing something like they blame him if he's drinking or something like that. Like, hey, I don't know, something like that, and Kenny just gets fed up with it, and just maybe not at that point that day, maybe on the Dynamite, just turns on him, what have you, and you have a Hangman mega feud going into double or nothing, a singles match. I can see that, and the Young Bucks being champions. So I'll say the Young Bucks would, because just based on what I said.
Yeah, I think that is where they're going to, and I do feel like that they need to eventually put the towels on the Bucks to really put them over. I mean, if there's been one criticism that I've been very critical about AEW about is them not booking the Elite stronger. And they have been doing that more as of late. I think as that pretty much when Tony Khan took on more of a hands-on approach, he probably realized, hey, we need to start booking our stars like they're stars, and not like it's cool that these guys want to put over other guys, and that's fine and all, but the fans need to know who your clear-cut stars are and where you're building the company around. So I think it's one of the reasons why they're going that route. And also too, there is money with a program with Hangman and Kenny, or if both Hangman and Kenny like turn heel, maybe on the Bucks, which I think that could be really interesting. So it's going to be a very interesting dynamic. And I mean, like, between this, Jericho and Moxley, and MJF and Cody, those are three really strong feuds that this company has going into Revolution in Chicago. Now, some other matches that are happening on the card, we have Jake Hagar, as Chris Jericho calls him. He will be facing Huston Rhodes, in which will be Jake Hager's first AEW match since he debuted back in October. This has been pretty much built up for like the last 4 or 5, some would even say 6 months. I'm very interested to see if Jake Hager has really worked on his in-ring. What is his theme music going to be? What's his attire going to be? Like, I'm very interested to see how this all plays out. I do expect that they're going to be putting over Jake Hager here.
Yes.
But there's no better guy to have him in his first match with AEW than Dustin Rhodes. Like, I mean, a guy who's been wrestling for over 4 decades now, which is hard to believe, but it could be a very, very good low-key undercard match. I'm really looking forward to that. Also, Darby Allin versus Sammy Guevara, that has the potential for a show-stealing match there. Darby Allin continues to be one of the most over younger wrestlers in the company. That should be good. One match I am not really caring about, and there are 2 matches specifically. One definitely is the AEW Women's Championship. I just don't care for
what's that match?
Nyla Rose versus Chris Statlander.
Don't care.
It's just like the women's division. It's a work in progress. They have made some improvements, but there's still a long way to go. But definitely getting that title off of Riho was definitely a step in the right direction. We'll see where this goes. Hopefully these two have a pretty good match. They're let's see, we talked about Darby Allin already. We also have the and this was just announced on Dynamite, Matt. Pac versus your boy, freshly squeezed Orange.
If that match is longer than 10 seconds, I'm raging.
Well, I'm going to say this. I don't think that we're going to be seeing the typical Orange Cassidy. I definitely think he's going to be wrestling.
What, he's going to have only one hand in his pocket this time?
No, he's only going to have a pinky.
I should throw this water over you.
I'm very interested to see. And also, what really made me happy, Matt, I got a text from my sister on Wednesday night. She was like, "Oh my God, Chris loves that kid Orange Cassidy on this wrestling show that we watch every single Wednesday."
Me and Nicole, I haven't felt any closer to Nicole before.
I was like, I always knew that I liked that guy.
I never felt any closer to Nicole before in my life.
Freshly squeezed, man. freshly squeezed.
For his sake, I hope there's no pulp.
God damn it. All right, so
Freshly squeezed.
Freshly squeezed.
He's gonna be freaking squeezed by Pac. The hell.
Also,
I can't wait. I can't wait for Cornette's review of that.
Oh god. And I believe it was also announced for the pre-show, or as AEW calls it, their buy-in. They're gonna be doing SCU versus the Dark Order, and this is one day before Matt Hardy's contract is up with WWE. And they have made every single hint that is the Exalted One, like Matt on Dynamite this week. They played a message from the Dark, or they aired a promo of the Dark Order where Uno, the big fat dude, said he mentioned the word obsolete. So they're really they're either trolling us hard, or they're gonna pull a curveball, which I don't think is going to make a lot of people happy. And I will continue to say, if Broken Matt is not the Exalted One, this group is dead. They're dead. They're dead. I can't say it any clearer or more louder. That needs to be headed by Matt Hardy. Needless to say, I'm really excited for Dynamite tonight when this podcast airs. It's
not Dynamite.
My God, I keep on doing that again. Revolution. I'm really excited.
I'm just like, wait a minute. You're throwing me off.
Blah, blah, blah. Revolution. I'm really excited about this show. It has been built well on Dynamite for the last few months. So hopefully, on paper at least, this looks like that it should be a pretty good show. Let's hope that they deliver and will lead into more good things for their weekly TV. And we also got some more news with AEW, Matt. Do you recall Lance Archer, formerly he was with the WWE back in 2009. He was on ECW in a tag team with Kurt Hawkins. I'm not sure if you recall that or not, but he's been in New Japan, I believe, since 2016 or 2017. But it was announced a few days ago that he has officially signed with All Elite Wrestling, and he will be making his debut on next week's Dynamite. A very important signing, a very much needed signing, because if there is one thing that this company definitely needs, is some size, it's some girth, it's some physicality. It's just to differentiate, just to stand out from the rest of the wrestlers that they currently got. So I'm really excited to see what they do there. Hell, like if Jon Moxley wins the title, that could very easily be one of the first challengers for him for the AEW World Title, and I don't think that too many people would be too mad about that. But as far as any go. Okay, and as far as anything else from wrestling, I guess I'll touch on NXT a little bit. Like Matt, I'm not sure if you'll agree or disagree. More than likely disagree, but I'm bored with NXT right now. It's just it's kind of frustrating right now. I'm not really loving the feuds going into take over Tampa. It's not like it's terrible. It's just like nothing that I can get really excited for. Do you have any thoughts?
I don't think it's boring. because you're in Dynamite Mark. Hey, no, I'm kidding.
I will perfectly admit that.
No, I was just throwing that because you asked me that the other day.
Yeah,
Eric.
I was like, am I?
I just wanted to throw that in.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's hard for me to give a good opinion because with my schedule lately, I can't.
One
watch
more week.
everything. One more week.
Week.
One more week, and we don't have to talk about this every
Priorities,
podcast.
Matt. You need to think of the podcast content first. Come on, pal.
I'm not getting paid for this. I'm getting paid for the other thing.
Damn it.
Unless you want to get money out of your own pocket.
Well, it's a pretty small pocket right now.
But you know whose pocket's not small? And this is a perfect segue to get away from wrestling.
I'm Tony Romo.
Tony Romo, baby.
My God. Who would have thought that Tony Romo would be almost making the same amount of cash that he made during his playing days? Like,
hey, good for him.
So it just came. It actually just came down
as we're recording.
as we were recording here. That man, Tony Romo, just agreed to a contract extension with CBS that will pay him a new record high for analysts in TV in general, $17 million per season. Wow. Like, throw out all of the freaking money, gifts, memes. Like, that man is living life right now, Matt.
He's easily the best football color commentator.
Easily.
He's entertaining to listen to. He knows his stuff. Like, he can predict pretty much what's going to happen, and he says it in a way that it's easily understood. And then he's usually right, and he's great. I found this tweet, and I chuckled internally as we were talking a couple minutes ago. Somebody says CBS will be forced to release him after 2 years and eat $12 million because of injury.
Oh, brother. But yeah, happy for Tony Romo. But I mean, I definitely feel that CBS probably overpaid him a little bit because there was heavy speculation that ESPN was prepared to make him pretty much a blow away offer to make him the lead commentator on ESPN for Monday Night Football. But I believe it was also reported that basically CBS had the right to essentially match any sort of offer that came Tony's way. So once that came out, you pretty much knew that he wasn't going anywhere, that pretty much any network that was going to go after him was going to give him just an insane contract over. But that was good. And so some other fun news, Matt, that we found out this week. Our boy Joe Rogan is coming to Pittsburgh, baby. Needless to say, I marked out and I texted you immediately. I was like, we're going.
Yes.
So if you guys didn't already know, Joe Rogan announced his comedy special tour, which comes into Pittsburgh on May 16th. For I believe it's called his Sacred Clown comedy tour. Yeah. So and I believe that Pittsburgh is his second stop for that tour, and that he is in Des Moines, I think, the day prior. So Matt, what are your thoughts on seeing Rogan here in Pittsburgh?
I'm excited, mainly for two reasons. One, to see him, because I really, I'm shocked myself, but I haven't seen any of his specials much. I mean, you've seen clips, obviously. And plus, two, this would be technically besides the one comedian that came to college move-in weekend freshman year, which I'm forgetting his name and I hate it, but you should listen to him. This is the first comedian I'm paying to go see.
Yep, and same for me too. And like, and Matt and I are huge fans of his podcast, and he's really good on commentary with the UFC. I'm very interested to see what the atmosphere is going to be like. I would assume that this is probably going to be sold out, like, because there's maybe 2 or 3 other bigger comics, like you think of guys like Kevin Hart and Dave Chappelle. Bill Burr's really good. Bert Kreischer's really good. And also Brian Callen too. It's just I've really liked Rogan's Netflix specials. They've been extremely entertaining. It's a little bit of the unknown. Definitely I feel mad. I'm interested to see what his content is going to be like. Like, is he going to be talking about like weed? Is he going to be talking about politics? Is he going to be talking about MMA? Just
yes.
It's going to be unlike anything that I've probably have ever experienced. And from some of my friends who have seen him, he said they're typically are really, really fun times, and I was even more surprised at how cheap that some of these tickets were. I thought I'd be paying a lot more for the seats that we got, but I cannot complain at all, to say the least. Anything more to add there, Matt?
No, I'm excited for May, and that's the weekend before. I'm a best man.
The best man. Speech, man. Speech.
Yes, that's all I care about.
that's all that he cares.
I got to nail that down.
I have faith in you. Just take a shot of captain or crown before then, and like you'll be all good.
I'm gonna go in at.
What fun is that?
That's fun enough.
Lame. Chant it, people. Matt is lame.
Yes, because they're gonna chant that right now.
Lame.
Yeah, because all the comments.
Lamer.
Like, but that's grammatically doesn't make any sense.
Lamer.
That's not an adjective.
A what?
Adjective. I'm correcting you on English, and I mispronounce adjective.
You f***ed up.
I'm not gonna edit. That's more work for me.
And here's the world's smallest violin playing right now. Imaginary violin playing right now. But as far as other sports talk, Matt, the whole CBA thing has been a pretty big topic this week. Did you see Marquise Pouncey's tirade?
No.
Yeah, like
I just saw him look mad online.
Yeah, it was he posted, it was like a 45-second clip on Instagram of him just raging pretty badly on how much he loved the new CBA proposal, and I believe that the CBA is going into a vote, I believe, on this Monday, if memory serves me correctly. Do I think that the players are going to approve this? I really don't know. It just seems like that everyone is pretty split down the middle. Like you have a lot of players who are in favor of the 17th game. You have a lot of players who are not in favor of the 17th game. So it's needless to say, it's a very hot button issue right now. But yeah, we'll see where that goes. Oh, before we forget, Matt, our experience at the casino last Saturday for Deontay Wilder versus
Mary
Tyson
Joseph.
Fury. Holy hell. So I was an idiot for putting money down on Deontay Wilder.
I was not, because I bet Fury. Mainly,
how much did you win from that? And
I think I just won a $10 bet. I don't know. I gotta look, but it wasn't a lot. But I think it was $11. So I got 22 something.
Jesus. Yeah, like I knew that Tyson was clearly the better boxer. What I didn't know was just how badly that Wilder would fight. Like, basically, Fury, like, and as his dad said, he figured him out from the first fight, and basically Tyson was just putting the pressure on him from start until finish. Matt, you need to get a new freaking table here, buddy.
No, it's not a new table because yours is not doing it. This clip, I don't know what's wrong with it. I have an idea.
Yep. Podcast equipment trouble, but the fight itself. So basically, I felt after round 2, this thing was not even competitive. I'm like the excuses that Wilder was giving after the fight was, quite frankly, really disappointing. Like, just admit that you lost, but now he's blaming the equipment that he wore into the ring was the reason why his legs were so weak. I'm just like,
I'll take good excuses, bad excuses for 200, Alex.
Yeah, it just I was like, just this is the last thing that I want to hear, and we
you got your ass beat, plain and simple.
Yeah, and it was also announced later or this week that Deontay Wilder would invoke his rematch clause, and so it looks like we're going to be getting a third fight between Tyson and Deontay. Some has speculated that this could happen maybe in July, possibly August. We'll see where that goes. So yeah, that was boxing. And also, yeah,
it to go back, like how it wasn't even close. Like you, after that second round, you can argue all day who won rounds 1 and 2, but after he knocked him, when Fury knocked him,
yep, that was it.
Knocked him down in round 3.
Basically, he was fighting. He was fighting a defensive fight just to stay alive, and we just learned just how
he was fighting a intoxicated person.
Yep, it just
as a example or a comparison.
And we just found out that Tyson Fury is just a terrible matchup for Wilder. If Wilder is not moving forward, he's going to get annihilated because, as I said, what he found out was he can't fight he can't fight backwards, and that was proven. It eliminated a lot of that power of his, and it threw him off all night long, and that was it. So that fight wasn't really competitive. However, if you watched the UFC prior on that night, that fight between Paul Felder and Dan Hooker was beautiful violence, as I would call. This was the main event for UFC Auckland. I'm hoping that I'm pronouncing that correctly. Probably not, but so this was a tremendous fight. Just Felder and Hooker just beat the living out of each other for 25 minutes. I mean, I wouldn't classify Hooker winning a robbery. I do think that I did have Paul Felder winning. I had him winning rounds 2, 4, and 5. Those were the rounds that I thought that he won. But a lot of people also had him Hooker winning rounds 1, 2, and 3, while a lot of people had Felder winning rounds 4 and 5. So I'm not really upset that the judges gave the decision to Hooker. Just like it was a really close fight, unlike with the John Jones fight where that bogus judge somehow gave John Jones 4 rounds on Anthony Reyes, which is some of the worst judging that you'll ever see, and Joe Rogan has been really outspoken about that there. But that was a really, really good fight, unlike what we got with Wilder and Fury. Let's see. Is there some other news?
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead, Matt.
Did you see this thing about? This is recent, I think, within the last day. So you know who Garth Brooks is?
Oh, yep. I know what you're talking about.
So he had a concert in Detroit, right? And John, who's a famous Detroit Lion?
One of like my childhood idols, Perry Sanders.
Right. So Garth Brooks posted a picture on his Instagram from behind him and showing him wearing a Barry Sanders jersey. And for some reason, people thought that was a Bernie Sanders endorsement.
People.
Like, this is why I hate politics.
This is why I hate the internet.
How do you mistaking a Barry Sanders jersey? You don't know who he is for endorsement for Sanders, for Bernie.
Just a simple Google search will say, "Oh, this, the Sanders are because that we're talking about are so similar, Matt. Because if you do a side by side photo, Barry Sanders and Bernie Sanders look exactly alike, right? Never mind the fact that one is black, one is 30 or 40 years younger. No.
We just know people don't know football and just assume. But Barry Sanders, what time was this? At a little after noon on Friday, so yesterday, if you're listening when it came out on Saturday, when says, tweeted at Garth Brooks to make fun of this whole situation. He goes, "Hey, at Garth Brooks, want to be my VP? Hashtag number 20 for 2020.
Yep.
Yes.
I saw that too. That was tremendous.
Yeah. And how about, Jesus, all this coronavirus stuff?
Yeah.
Things are just getting canceled left and right.
Yeah. I read somewhere, I'm not sure if that was fake or real, that someone, I think it was in Switzerland, who got diagnosed with that, got released from the hospital for that. I'm not sure if that was real or not, but I saw that earlier today.
I didn't see that, but the stock market, all the stock market stuff,
it's plummeting.
Is in fear of this. So this is when you want to buy, ladies and gentlemen. So for example, the Dow Jones from, let's go a month. So from February 21st, the Dow Jones was at 28,992.41 points, right? That's a week ago. Now it has dropped to 25,766.64. So the fears and all the people with money are getting scared and selling. Just a lot of points in a week. But I think when this coronavirus inevitably passes. Even though it is big thing, don't get me wrong, but this is when you buy at the low and then eventually go back up long term if you want to make some money. And I like this deadline. The spread of the coronavirus couldn't have come at a worse time for Corona beer. like if you're the company,
weren't they like petitioning to change their name or something because of that?
I didn't read that.
Okay,
Let me see if it says in this article.
Yeah.
But so, Corona Beer doesn't make any changes to its advertising despite the name's unfortunate similarity to the deadly coronavirus. What's the company's Constellation Brands? Was it on the stock market? I think so. It's fallen. Well, that's hilarious. Well, not really, but geez. Last month. Jeez. Well, month's change. It's down 10%. Holy crap. It was up at... It's not a big stock. It was over 200. Now it's dropped to 172.38. It's been going down with this coronavirus thing. I don't know what. See, I don't know if it's anything to do with that, but if that, I don't get that, because if people are selling that stock because of a virus that has nothing to do with the beer, I don't think people are going to stop drinking alcohol because of the virus. Right. If that is the reason, then that is stupid.
Yeah. Well,
but
expect.
What do you expect with people with money? But you remember Eric Fair? Used to play for the Penguins, won a Stanley Cup.
Yep.
He plays over in he's playing hockey. I gotta find the article. I had it, but I forget where. But he was playing hockey, and he shared a picture of at the end of the game, and nobody was in attendance. Wow. So I guess it's overseas. I gotta find it. Crap. But anyways, if I find it, I could show you. But that's amazing. There is wait, let me get another. There's a convention, a game developers conference, where pretty much different video game developers, you can have the Microsoft, all those companies come and show off stuff, and companies meet and all that. It's been canceled due to the coronavirus. All this stuff is happening. People are not messing around, and the GDC again is being held at California. I think California. Right. So people were dropping out. People Facebook, Sony, Microsoft, Amazon said they're not sending people to the show over concerns. So it was supposed to take place between March 16th and March 20th. But the people who run this thing said we fully intend to host a GDC event later in the summer. So, what's F8? Yeah, Facebook's F8 developer event got canceled and all that stuff. So yeah, this is pretty serious stuff. So hopefully, it gets kind of not taken care of. What's the right phrase? Contain?
Deleted.
It's always back to wrestling.
Delete.
Phone going off. So yeah, that's interesting and very scary situation.
Yeah. And while we're kind of on the topic of hockey, I guess we'll just briefly touch on the trade deadline that happened this past week.
Oh yes.
So and I'll just kind of talk up the Penguins, man. You can kind of research and see if there's any more notable deals. But
Yes.
so basically, the Pens made a few more trades. And from their first trade where they acquired Jason Zucker from the Minnesota Wild, in exchange for a first round pick, for a first round pick, Alex Galchenyuk and Kalen Addison. So I really like the Patrick Marleau deal. He's a guy who can still skate, and we saw that the other night in L.A. I think he can still score, although I do think he's probably best suited to be on a bottom six line at this stage in his career.
Yeah, that's all you need.
Yep. And also the Penguins acquired back Connor Sherry, and the first thing that I
Sherry.
Sherry.
Sherry. Oh, Sherry.
And the first thing that jumped off of the screen definitely the other night was speed. Like just like he was flying all night that night. So he looked good. And I forget the other guy who they acquired, but he's a fourth line center. Matt, could you look that up for me?
Who? Evan
Evan
Rodriguez.
Evan Rodriguez, who is pretty much a fourth line center. So we'll see how that goes. But my God, were people, Yinzers were in a freaking rut, man. Like when they found out, we traded Akuna Matata to the Buffalo Sabres. Wow, I mean, you would think that we traded Sidney Crosby or Chris Letang or Jari or Jake Gensel. Like, I'm just like, guys, he's a third or fourth line guy. His contract is up after this year. Chances are they weren't going to bring him back. What is he going to bring to this team this year that a guy in Patrick Marleau isn't going to bring to this team? And of course, there were still Yinzers who were mad that we didn't get another defenseman. I'm not sure if you guys know of these two individuals, Matt. Let me just divulge you. Have you heard of Brian Dumoulin?
Who?
Have you heard of John Marino? Right.
I maybe.
So yeah, like they're coming back and they might even come back tonight, which means that means that guys like Ricola and Chad Rowedo are your sixth or your seventh and your 8D defensemen then. So explain to me why they would need to go out and give up yet another draft pick or another asset for a defenseman who's not going to even be on the ice. Just overreactions. Like, and of course, fans are overreacting to them losing 4 straight games. And in case you guys didn't know, you know who else is on a 4-game losing streak right now, Matt? The Tampa Bay Lightning are also on a current 4-game losing streak right now.
But that's not Pittsburgh, so it doesn't matter.
Right. So,
but the point is, but guess who was on a 4-game losing streak until they faced us and beat us? It was the Capitals,
exactly,
which we overtook for first.
Exactly. So Yinzers, calm the hell down, please. As far as other trades, Matt, do you want to?
I'm gonna name some notable ones that people I recognize. Carolina got defenseman Semi Vatanen from the Devils in exchange for.
And didn't they get
Yeah, I think
Florida's
they got other people. I'm just scrolling down.
Okay.
Because it's the way. For defenseman Frederick Clausen, forward Janae Kukkonen, and a second-round pick. The Astro got defenseman Brady Sketchy. I forget how to pronounce it, for a first-round pick from the Rangers. Oilers got Tyler Ennis from Ottawa for a 21 fifth-round pick. Man, Senators, ever since we beat them in the conference finals, we destroyed them.
Yeah, essentially.
Oilers also got forward Andreas Anthony, or I call him Happy to See You, and forward Ryan Kuffner from Detroit for Sam Gagne. I don't know.
Close enough.
It's if you say it how it's spelled, it's Gagner. Gagher, and with a 2020 second round pick and 21 second round pick. Buffalo got Wayne Simmons from the Devils for a 2020 conditional fifth round pick.
Who was also linked to the Pens on that day, if you're following the Twitter.
Carolina got, and this is what you were talking about, got Vincent Trocheck from the Panthers.
Which I did not understand that from the Panthers standpoint, because weren't they only a point or two out of the postseason too? Like, that was peculiar. That was peculiar to say the least.
Probably try to shore them up. Let's see. NHL standings. Oh, so they got Trocheck in exchange for forward Eric Holla, forward Lucas Walmart, which if his nickname is not Walmart or whatever, then Carolina fans were doing it wrong. Defenseman Chase Pritzky and forward Itu New York Islanders got forward Jean Gabriel Pageau in exchange for from the Senators in exchange for a 2020 conditional first round pick, 2020 second round pick, 2022 conditional third round.
Ew. Well, I think on that note, I think that's a good place to stop there. So we would like to thank you, everyone, who tuned into the podcast. We're probably are not going to be doing a reaction show or a review to AEW Revolution tomorrow. Look for that on Sunday. We will do a live stream for that, and we'll talk a little bit on the show that happened. So as you guys know, follow us on our Twitter page, like, subscribe, share this video, helps us get the channel out there, and so for Matt, for John, we shall see you guys later this weekend.